All right. Looks like we are all set. So let's go ahead and get started. Welcome, everybody. My name is Jared. This is Engineering the Markets, and it is January 23rd, 2023. Happy Monday. And of course, welcome back. We're starting off our week with our normal sort of index overview. We're going to take a look at how the markets performed last week and if there's any significant shift that we should be aware of. There's a couple of notable changes in how momentum should be perceived, and we'll kind of talk through some of that as we enter into this week. But as we all know, this week is one of the major kickoff periods for the larger tech earnings, along with a lot of key names that we should be paying attention to. So most of the week will be pretty active reviewing some of the earnings expected moves, looking at what sort of trade opportunity might take place. Also talking through a little bit of economic overhead in regards to the US debt ceiling and some of the ramifications this can have specifically to certain companies and certain sectors. So with all that said, let's go ahead and get started. As we often do, we start off with our S&P 500 index expected move for the week. And as always, we want to take a look at how last week performed so that we can get a sense of how efficient this market is going to be. I noticed that I also put the word December here. So first things first, last week was a fairly volatile week in terms of some of the types of trade that we have. It was a 4-day week, so ultimately the market didn't have as much time to trade, but we saw a lot of whipsaw, and there were certainly some surprise moves, especially on Friday. I think a lot of people were overwhelmed by some of the upside potential of the trend day that we had experienced. So let's take a look at how the expected move might have helped us with that, because for the most part, the expected move did what it was supposed to do, which is anticipate where the market close range was going to be. And it was a 4-day trading week, so our expected move volatility was a little bit lighter. The market was only really pricing about $65 of total movement, but some of our largest downside we saw from Friday's close 2 weeks prior, we did see a move down about 113 points. So certainly some really great intraday opportunity, especially Wednesday and Friday, just due to the structure of the type of trend. But we also want to look at this from the perspective of, did the market really change more or less throughout the week? And I think when you start to get that type of overview of what actually happened, we certainly saw some short-term defense by the bulls. They're keeping the idea that this market may still wish to change trends in this region. And more importantly, they're looking to clear a very important trend line. So a lot of these concepts about keeping the trend intact, along with understanding that some of the short-term volatility might or might not kind of shake certain participants out. We know this region is a bit tumultuous. It's obviously our weekly trend line that's trying to sort of determine the next big major move in the market. But additionally, some of the short-term opportunity is almost as advantageous as we saw back in November and December. You're noticing the range here is equivalent. Some of the volume and the spread of the candles are equivalent to how the range traded back in December and November. And once again, the concept of a value zone or a region of price that needed to be reclaimed in order to have confidence moving forward. You know, bulls are kind of the ones that have to continue to prove participation. And while Friday might have been more or less some option-driven activity, we do want to also interpret the price. Bulls are kind of keeping their short-term control along with the efficiency of the SPX expected move. The idea that we're not really breaching and holding outside. Any breaches are starting to recover, and oftentimes these are downside breaches, sort of knockback periods. So we're going to keep that theme for now until we see sort of a confirmed change of trend, because at the moment, outside of that Wednesday session, we're really only seeing sort of a knockback, a sharper pullback, certainly a pretty big move, but we're going to allow the trend to actually change before we consider that this is a important area of the chart. So as I zoom back a little bit, we can also see what the weekly expected move is for this week. The one thing I didn't mark was the close of last week. So that would be just 3972.61. Might have actually grabbed the wrong numbers here. Yes, I did. So plus or minus a couple of points. I think I grabbed the high instead of the close. So some of my calculations are a few cents off. But all in all, this week, with all of the earnings that are up and coming, and as always, we do have some economic data kind of sprinkled throughout the week. The SPX expects about 72 to 73 points of volatility. Once again, if we're measuring from Friday's close, that brings our downside target on an expected move sort of test to about 3,900. And that's where we expect the downside volatility to become more or less realized. The upside volatility about 40-46. So we're still in a price region where, from a technical perspective, we could still continue our uptrend, but we know that this whole entire price region, once again, very contentious, and obviously a range of price activity built back in November and December. So clearing this whole area would be not only a major milestone for the bulls, but it would also indicate that the weekly trend has finally changed for the first time since last year. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that as we get into our earnings season. And we're also just going to kind of note some market structure. Market structure, from my perspective, I don't necessarily want to go into all detail, things that I would confidently be able to identify. But I think there are notes that can often lead you to understand why the market is moving a certain way. And oftentimes these are really important when you feel that the market's kind of being dragged somewhere. Usually return to value type of plays, especially ones that are on a higher time frame, are often the ones that are some of the best trading days, because for the most part, we expect the trend to kind of continue on the short term, and more specifically, that gravitational aspect keeps the market kind of aimed in one direction. It tends to have a very clear target. And one thing about this entire price region, as we know, this is where, for the most part, the S&P VPOC is for most of last year, including this year. We're obviously returning to this area. Now, for those maybe unfamiliar with a volume profile concept or just using VPOC in general, it tends to be the area of the most transactional value for whatever product you're looking at. And oftentimes it has to be discovered. It has to be built through actual price activity. And more often than not, markets like to continuously return to this area before setting up much larger moves, usually in the sense of some sort of breakout or potentially some sort of change of trend. Not always, but often this is kind of the start point for a lot of that type of trade. Now, no matter how far you zoom back, however much data you want to grab for the SPY, Here I have a 180-day 4-hour chart. If I, pull it back to the daily, you'll notice that this red indicated region, sort of the highest volume node on a volume by price study, doesn't change. It stays in about the 395 region. As I pull it back even further and just kind of including the entirety of the past couple of years, barring some extrapolation from interest rate changes and some of the dollar effects here, this is where value is for the SPY. It's kind of like the fairest price that we could assume the S&P wants to be trading at. And what's interesting is this is kind of the most contentious region for the S&P, both from a price perspective and also from some of our previous uptrend and downtrend markets. What you'll notice here is you kind of draw a line just so you can see the price interaction that's going on here. This often is not only a high to low region where for the most part you'll see larger trend changes or things like breakouts of range. And this is kind of one of the more important areas. But you'll even see the definition of things like initial support or some of the stronger just kind of bounce reactions occurring at this price. And then the question then becomes, why is this happening? Why is the market inclined to somewhat change and have some trade opportunity in this region? And I think it's the simple concept of mean reversion. Oftentimes markets will attempt to become conceptually overbought and oversold. And this can be done through price. This can be done through the concept of maybe trading channels. Linear regressions are often a very common technique. But even in a volume profile perspective, which once again is very price impactful, you want to be thinking about the idea that this market, especially in the S&P, is pretty much been at the fairest price since it's been trading back in April of last year. So arguably, if you're an S&P participant, you really haven't seen too much in the way of disruption so long as you're a buyer in this price region and once again a seller. What's important though is the volatility that we've been experiencing. And the more you zoom this out, you can kind of see that this is the area of trade where this particular product likes to revert to. It tends to wave around this area. And once again, we get this idea of value, the most transactions occurring at this particular price. So whenever people are looking at bullish and bearish concepts in this market, oftentimes we're looking at risk to reward in the price region that we're more interested in, whether it be short-term trading, and that can easily be done through something like maybe a week or 2 weeks of trade. You're often going to have shorter volume profile price regions, but these are opportunistic because if you can identify some of your value zones and price is starting to respond, whether it be overbought or oversold, you kind of know where the market wants to go. It often wants to get back to an area that is more likely to be transacted, the area of the most interest, the highest risk for both sides of the market, sort of fair in that pricing. And then as you get into like larger swing concepts, that idea can be extrapolated because in this particular time region, there was a large portion of trade going on here, and we identified this as a balance range. Conceptually, balance ranges do form their own volume profiles, especially if you're only really aggregating that particular data set. But in the formation of that range, we had to come from an overextended region. And we kind of note that by these high impact areas and these major rejections in the case of our last year's trade, some of our bearish rejections against the trend line. So the reason I bring all this up is oftentimes when a market is trying to shift, and usually shift against the dominant thesis, which in this case, a lot of people could argue that there's still a very dominant bearish thesis to this market. There's still this idea that the market wants to be seeing additional downside risk. But I often look at this as counterintuitive whenever price, value, and often some of our indicators disagree. The knockback from last Wednesday was, of course, sort of a little bit of a surprise. There was certainly a lot of downside in that particular day in that move. But you have to look at, did anything really change? Did skew start to become more bearish? And did the market start to price into more at the money or somewhat more bearish spreads or contracts? And the answer is no. Most of last week, the skew has been on a recovery phase from some of the most lower prints that we've had since December and, sort of beginning of the year. So this to me is a slight bullish lean because we're seeing market participants of a institutional dominance start to leave from that full bearish outlook, pricing into at the money or very bearish types of option trades. Did we see VIX change? And in the short term, sure, but we're not really seeing, once again, that fear trade. The idea that the spread between our short and back month contracts and the vol futures, they're not really changing that much, albeit there was a slight uptick on Wednesday. So usually these types of moves often need confirmation. And what's interesting is the response on Friday, once again, a little bit of option trading going on there, but more specifically, the give back, the knockback was first, but if bears are willing to sort of retreat that significantly in price, and in this case, return to value, you have to question whether they're still in the dominant position, even though they have the swing high for now. The idea that that's kind of the point of no return if the market were to breach that trend line. And, we could look at some other factors, but I think ultimately, if we're seeing a lot of the same in terms of, dollar weakness, maybe some of the rate kind of contraction and a little bit of the yield curve normalization going on, albeit there's still a lot of future risk in what's being predicted there. The marketplace tends to have a little bit of a bullish lean in those periods. It's simply a period of reversion, coming back from some of the most extreme periods that we saw last year, the highest highs and the lowest lows for some of the risk factors that we saw. So the question then becomes, who's in control? And I think this is always going to be something that should be evaluated on both sides of the market. But one of the simplest things you can do is start to pull up moving averages and start to notice how trends are changing from a price perspective, but also a momentum perspective. Who's got the short-term trend, who's got, in this case, like a medium-term 50-day moving average type of trend. And then, of course, our longer-term trend, which has been the contention area for a breakout, something of significant difference. And when you look at Friday's trade, it's kind of like we have everything coiled up. It's a moment of probably the most energy this market has seen from price, along with the idea that we're getting some of our moving average crosses starting to hit once again. Not that these are sort of forever signals, but they often are bigger shifts. They tend to have the type of energy needed to get over trend lines and often to surprise the marketplace. So This particular study set, I only really have 3 moving averages. So, you can add as many as you need to kind of see that type of contention. A lot of people also like to include a 100, which I'll go ahead and mark in brown, and then a 150. And, this would probably be the most MAs that you'd want to include on any particular chart. I don't know, purple. Just getting some color differentiation here. Oh, that one didn't change. 50. And the reason I do this is no matter how many I put on my chart, you're going to be seeing a lot of convergence of MAs here. It's a very tight region, but it's also a region where if price were to breach any of these areas, it often confirms a lot of the type of buying behavior or selling behavior that often comes with new trends. Usually a lot of stronger algorithmic and institutional type of buying and selling will be occurring somewhere along one of these MAs. It's a matter to kind of find the who and the where. But when you have this type of coiled price activity, I think this is where volatility can really shift. Once again, I'm looking at a little bit of a bullish lean here, even with last week's trade, simply because this is where bears have to make their final stand. If we were to get outside of this region, not only are we changing a lot of price trends, but we're also going to be doing something abnormal from last year. It's a new event. From a technical perspective, it's a trend line break. And that type of energy is quite difficult to speculate the potential. It's almost something brand new. And, outside of extensions, we really don't know what sort of move that could have, as this has been probably the tightest and most converged the MAs have ever been since last year. You can almost hearken some of this type of price behavior to a period like this. This is where a lot of our trends were almost fully changed in the market, and you can tell the type of volatility that we had shortly thereafter. I'm equating what I see here to a period like this, and obviously looking a little bit in the opposite direction for that potential of such a trend line break, the most obvious trend line that most technicians have on their chart. So keep this in mind, because I think a lot of people are more or less familiar with how bull markets trade, but they might have forgotten some of that type of price behavior. It's been a little while since we've been able to say we're in a pretty strong bullish uptrend. Most of them have been countered at some point, and for the most part, as intraday traders, we just want to follow price. But the type of behavior that we're seeing on some of these upper days, the days that are moving to the upside, have been not only straightforward, but they've been, for the most part, consistent. There hasn't been too much knockback, and oftentimes they are some of the best performing days, but the ranges are getting smaller. The price regions are getting smaller. That typically is indicative of bullish drift, momentum to the upside. And for the most part, it's not as volatile because we're not selling. Selling tends to be a little bit more of a volatile type of trade, especially in the speed of the sell. So these are some shifts that are starting to happen. And for the most part, I just want you to be prepared for them, because arguably anything can happen. But I think this is a moment, a period of trade where something big is likely to happen. It's where things can really change in a marketplace. And so long as we see price trends that we are kind of seeing this year, I'm actually looking for this market to break out. I'm going to see, what that potential looks like as we get some more data. And then ultimately, I think earnings are going to be the major player as to whether or not this volatility expresses itself through a breakout, especially to the upside. So that's what I'm looking at. This is just the index overview, but you can do this on other charts and kind of get a sense of, even if we're talking about low to high type of trading, even if we're talking about reversion to the mean, there seems to be this tendency for some of our risk on products, especially tech and some of the recovery we're seeing in communication, to lead us to the upside. And as long as that sort of trend continues, it's going to be a bit more challenging to be looking bearish. Outside of some intraday trade, a lot of these snapbacks might be bought pretty quickly. And in that way, we might want to stick with that type of trading mentality, at least in the short term, until we see a reason to kind of switch our bias once again. So be on the lookout for that. Volume by price. This is just a simple study, volume profile, and then I keep the defaults. So this is a very simple study in Thinkorswim. So last but not least, this is something we're going to talk about all week. So I don't really need to bring this up immediately, but be on the lookout for what types of stocks are going to be reporting earnings. There's a lot of good names coming up. We obviously have Microsoft kind of kicking us off with some of the tech earnings, but Johnson & Johnson, Verizon, Capital One, Lockheed Martin, Union Pacific. This is all just on Tuesday, both morning and evening, 3 a.m. as well. Just bigger names in different sectors. And then, of course, as we get throughout the week, we'll have names like Boeing, Tesla, MasterCard, and Visa, very analogous names, and lots of sympathy trade that we can take effect, especially as we get information from one of the particular similar types of companies. So one of the things that I'm noticing as well is the overarching discussion about the debt ceiling for the US. Obviously, we've had multiple events like this in our history. The bias is that this will eventually get adjusted. But in the short term, usually when the debt ceiling conversation starts to come into play, one of the things you'll hear is defense contractors kind of taking some of the risk. Government spending is a big component of how those companies tend to perform. Any sort of healthcare, like universal type healthcare, that often gets affected. So UNH, for example. And then there's just government programs that might also take short-term impact. And I was kind of looking for why these companies were getting sold quickly like this, barring earnings and some of the upcoming, volatility. There's a little bit of that fear trade back into it because, ultimately this is how they get their funding for a lot of their programs. So some of these knockbacks are, for the most part, can be explained a little bit through that event. It might also mean that this volatility is opportunistic. So be on the lookout for some pretty sharp moves in these stocks outside of earnings. Anything that's going to be related to that conversation, there might be some good trading opportunity here. Something as simple as some option spreads could really take advantage of very quick movements in both directions. So, all right, with all that said, that's the end of my session. Stay tuned for pre-market prep. We're going to talk a lot more about all this tomorrow and talk about some of these opportunities, but trade safe today and be on the lookout for some of those bigger volatility changes and momentum shifts in the overall market. Talk to you then.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the PreMarket Prep. I hope you're having an amazing morning and hopefully you had an incredible weekend. Good morning, Norm. How you doing today?
Good morning, brother. I'm doing all right. I hope you had a good weekend. I apologize. I had an update that it forced me to have over the weekend. I found out about this morning and the camera's not working. So,
Yep, no worries, man. I know how that goes very, very well. Guys, good morning. Good morning, guys. Big thumbs up for Engineering the Markets, Jared, every Monday through Thursday, taking us through some macro information on there, some stuff that can be very helpful to your intraday trading as well. Um, Looking at our gappers list this morning, we got quite a bit in the green. We just had these two pop up on the downside of things. They were not on here uh, a minute ago, or at least all morning, but they're making their appearance now. So we'll see what's going on there. And then a couple of things in here that some names that we know, a lot of names that we know actually. We'll see if they're trading well today. Not the best traders besides AMD, of course, but we will see if there's any opportunities as we crank up into earnings as well. Some big names I'm looking forward to this week. We'll dive into that a little bit later also and see what's going on there. And but I know next week is going to be very nice with a lot of tech companies reporting. So yeah, looking forward to a very good week and even a better one following that. So with that said, guys, let's take a look at the overall market and what's going on there as far as news.
yeah, not a whole lot of data today. 10 a.m., we've got leading economic indicators. We do have next week, the FOMC meeting. I'm thinking my schedule here is a little bit abbreviated because it's the end of the month, but next week. So the Fed speakers are done. They're in a dark period before that meeting starts. Um, the one significant thing you'll notice, we don't have a whole lot of Chinese names on here. We've got XPEV. Yeah, we've got XPEV, Chinese New Year. So the Chinese markets are closed all week. Not that some of those companies can't have news, but a lot of companies shut down over that time period. So we probably won't see a whole lot of that in the next few days. Yeah, let's go.
All right. All right. Excellent. Excellent. All right, guys, let's go through our list here and see what's going on. Let's start with removing the stuff from yesterday. Control A, Control X takes care of that. And we will make room for what we have here today. Let's start with a gapping up PLRX. So this morning they're up 61%. So nice big pop for them today. 2.3 million shares traded. Not a low float, sitting at almost 40 million shares float. Norma, you had the chance to look at what's popping this big move this morning.
Yeah, it's a biotech, but I'm not seeing anything fresh this morning. I know there's something out there. I'm a little late to it, so if anybody has that, throw it out. Love to hear it.
Yep. For the most part, they don't get great volume, guys. Look at their daily here, very light on volume. So I'm concerned how that is going to be. Today, they're trading more volume than they do on a regular basis, a lot more, almost two, three times more. So
Phase two trial, lung problem. So there you go. Thank you, Richard.
yeah, yeah, not usually the best catalyst. Again, I love the pop this morning. Again, these pharmaceutical type companies, it's just got to be careful. So we'll put it on here. We'll come back to this in a bit. Agua, that's in Spanish, but this is aqua, which is water in Spanish. What's going on here? They're up 13%, 100,000 shares traded. Also looks very light on volume as well. So I'm not sure what's causing this
I
pop
believe it's a
today.
buyout.
Oh, okay. All right. So that's again, guys, usually not the best catalyst. So I'll keep this one off for now. Let's take a look at W. This is Wayfair, and they're up nice, man. 12.7. Had a good day on Friday. Normally not a stock that we like often, but it seems like they have something good going on brewing since last week.
They're cutting some jobs, and they've got a whole bunch of upgrades. One or two last week, and then three or four this morning. So
Yeah, yeah. Um, I'm gonna add them to the list, guys. Normally we won't put them on here, but I do like what they did on Friday here. Nice pop. Today they're showing some volume, also up 12.7. Could be decent for today. We'll take a look at what's happening there. Their earnings are coming up. Oh, pre-market as well today. So earnings as well today.
they had
Yeah,
earnings.
yeah.
My chart was wrong. Apologies, guys.
Yeah, no, no worries, no worries. I just want to notice that now on trade ideas if that's correct. But yeah,
I don't
earnings
know
this
that that
morning.
is.
What was that?
I said, I don't know that that's correct.
Yeah,
I don't see it on anything I have, brother.
We'd love to verify somewhere else. Because again, guys, all this stuff, all the data, sometimes people make mistakes, right? This is inputted by human, coded by humans. We make mistakes. It happens. So let's see if we can verify it in. Oh, my mistake. See, the mistake is the user error here. It says February. We're in January,
okay.
Carlos. Get it together. Get it together.
God, don't make us go that fast.
Get it together.
I mean, I'm ready for spring and all, but
same here. All right, so pop it up here pretty good, guys. We'll see what's going on there. Next is Spotify. I don't like the way this one trades. I think it's very spotty, guys. It's the spread is ugly at times. Today they're up 5.8, 127,000. Anyone knows what's causing this pop? Norm, you got a good hint on this one? This is pre-market. I'm sorry, earnings going to be on the 31st. So
they have
that's
some
next
job
week.
cuts as well, I believe, that they just announced.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. So layoffs on this one as well. We see that a lot, guys. We start to see that a lot now, where companies are announcing layoffs and possible cuts. Google did that last week, and they also popped up pretty good. That's like the key thing now, right? If you mention that, it's good for the bottom line, and we're seeing a couple of tickers pop up pretty good, which Google did trade very not well, but it traded better than what it normally does last week. So I'm on the fence on this. I'm gonna put it as a possible. I might not even keep it there, guys. Let's see what happens. Here we are, CRM this morning. This is another one this is Salesforce, by the way. Salesforce, which doesn't trade very well. These guys are up 4.7, 241,000. Again, is it the same thing here, Norm? Are we getting cuts as well?
No, Elliott, they announced cuts a while back, but an activist investor is supposedly taking a position here, so we'll see.
All right, so that's doing well for them there. Again, I'm not a big fan of this one, guys. If you guys like this one, it looks good for today with all as far as their numbers, up 4.7, 242,000. I just, the way they intraday trade for me is not great. Here's Shopify. I guess today they put the list of all the stuff that I do not like to trade. Spotify, CRM, Shopify, Wayfair. I mean, guys, these tickers, they're just for the way I trade, they're not great. Shopify is another one, unless there's any crazy
Shopify got an upgrade out of Deutsche Bank, so nothing too crazy.
So nothing too crazy. I don't know, guys. I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt, possible for today, but they might not stay there. They'll have to show me something really good pre-market, and that they're not going to trade like they normally do, right? Which is usually very choppy for this to spot and shop. SI, this has been making some noise in the past, gap down big a couple of weeks ago. Haven't really touched it. I think the spread is ridiculous on this thing. We had it on our list once, and the price action was just wild. So I have not traded this, and I don't plan to, just because of the way it's moving. Yes, it's nice to see something go from 1220 to 1380. And be in the right side of that move, but are you trading your plan here, or are you gambling? And when I look at it, for me, it'll be gambling if I take a trade on this, because it's not part of my plan. So I stay away from it. Raya has not been great, guys. Lately, Bitcoin has been pushing up pretty nice, and we've seen Coin, we've seen Mara have the same daily like they do here. But I gotta say, I'm not sure if any of you guys actually intraday traded any of them. Their intraday trading action has been really crappy. So I have not been a fan of that. But they're all moving. They're all moving higher here, with Bitcoin kind of bouncing a little bit. Riot is my least favorite. If I were going to look at this sector, it will be Coin and then Mara. Coin being the better trader. Let's see what Mara is doing. Again, just they got a great daily. Mara has great volume, 900,000. Coin 473. They look good on the daily, man. I don't know if they're gonna keep that type of trading momentum today. So I'm gonna add Coin and Mara just to come back and look at those. But again, their intraday action has just not been great. But their daily does look good on all three of them. You could pick whichever one you like, and hopefully we can get some good movement today. Here is Plug. Plug, same thing.
Are you skipping AMD? Peter's going to kill you.
Did I skip AMD? I guess I'm doing all the crap first, and then we'll get to the two really good ones here, which is AMD and Tesla.
You do you.
You do you, yes.
I don't want to be on his bad side.
No, we'll make sure we hit Tesla today for sure.
Okay.
Plug, guys, again, just not looking all that exciting here. Daily looks good, but Again, I'm just not sure on this one. The few times I had it on my list, guys, has not traded very well, so I've been keeping it off my list. All right, let's look at AMD. Let's look at Tesla next, and hopefully find something good here. AMD, great volume, guys. 790. If you notice, the last few times that we looked at in the pre-market, their volume has been very light, and they haven't really done much. So today they're up nice, 2.8 here, 790,000. Definitely like the volume. I'm gonna check Nvidia next. Any particular news on AMD or any of the
AMD got an
semis?
upgrade out of Barclays. Overweight from equal weight, 85 price target versus 70.
Yeah. That's where they're getting that nice volume. Nvidia, half of that volume, really up 1.4. Again, another great trader, has a great daily here, had a great day on Friday. But AMD will be the one to go with today. I'm gonna put Nvidia as a possible because it is a good one to watch here. If anything gets going. Carvana trying to make some noise here, but this looks doesn't look good. And then we have Tesla, which again, of course, in play as it continues to try to slowly grind higher. This is the big one for this week, guys. Earnings on Tuesday or Wednesday? Oh, I forgot.
For who?
For Tesla.
Wednesday after
Wednesday.
the close.
Wednesday after the close. Yep. So that'll be the big one for this week, guys, to see how these guys got a report here. Again, they've been getting a nice little bounce here off the lows of this daily of 102 up to 136 and just continue grinding higher. Already up 2%, almost 3 million shares traded. This is definitely in play today. Tesla has been in play every day, guys. It's all about can you get a good entry? Can you time this properly? The moves are very wild. The pullbacks are aggressive. Just can you time this and can you have good risk management is the key with Tesla, right? So has been in play for the last 2-3 months, if that. So definitely on our list today. All right, gapping down only one, CPRX, and this thing's dropping 17% with very, very light volume, guys. Only 183,000. Not a low float, sitting at 97.8. Again, not one that gets great volume. Norm, is the news worth watching this one today?
I don't know. I mean, it's a biotech. They had some FDA action. Just not my cup of tea.
Yeah. The moves here, I like the drop here. I really do. I just don't like the fact that we're doing it with such a light volume. Maybe that can change at the market open, guys.
Exactly.
But
that spread is 40 cents on
yeah.
a $17 ticker. No, thank you.
No good at all. No good at all. And so this volume is concerning. Can it get better at the market open? Yes. But when you have a drop like this, you will want to see better than 183,000 shares traded, right? That's nothing for a stock like this. So that's concerning. All right, let's see what you guys have. Norm, anything on your end that you like this morning?
No, I'm still looking, man. It's kind of a lazy Monday for me that I'm seeing so
So
far. I think we'll get going. I think we're going to have a good week. I just think it's a little slow right now.
Yeah, and a lot of the stuff on our gappers list is not helping us out at all. There's a bunch of stuff here, but again, they just don't trade very well. Some well-known names, Spotify, Shopify, but they just don't trade well. So, but we'll see. Hopefully today they can pull something off and give us some good intraday action. It's possible, right? All right, let's take it to the room. Jeff, AMD, we do have Ben. Nvidia is good here as well. Has been a very active one. So I have it on my secondary list. If we don't have anything else that I'm going to add here, I'm going to bring this up, right? We'll bring up NVIDIA to our list here. Futu, Draglog is giving us Futu. What is it doing today? No, just grinding higher here, slowly trying to close this gap. Looks like, right? They had a nice gap down a few weeks ago, and this was fun. I actually traded very well here and the second day. Good continuation. I haven't looked at it really since. And there's just no volume right now, but it's just slowly grinding higher with very, very little volume, which doesn't not interest me as much, right? Here was the only time that we had some fun with this. I don't recall if I traded here or here, but this was fun. And then from there, the volume has really just died down. So I'm not a fan of that. And the spread, guys, the spread, be very careful. It looks decent right now, but this spread could be very, very bad at times. So be on the lookout for that. Let's take a look at Amazon. One of our usual suspects, which I'm sure is looking good today. There we go. Up almost 1%, 704,000. Great volume. beautiful daily like many of our stocks have, right? They've been bouncing from the lows of the daily in the last month or two. So that looks good there. Yeah, I do like Amazon. I do like the volume on it as well. That's going to remind me of Apple, our good buddy here. And looking nice. It was in the red, in the green now, just barely. So that's looking nice. Very clean daily as well, guys. Again, very similar lightning bolt type action here on the daily, right? We've been seeing that just because of the bounce we're getting of the lows here. We sold off so much in towards the end of the year that we're starting to see a little bit of bounce here as we get into 2023. So Apple is good. One of our usual suspects we can look at. Google was fun yesterday, Abby. I don't know if it's going to be good today, man. I think Google, not yesterday, last week. It was fun last week. I just don't know if we're going to get anything more out of this, right? We had two really decent days, especially Friday on this. They reported, possible layoffs, about 12,000 employees or so, which is good for the bottom line. The overall market was pushing higher too, so I'm sure that helped it as well. I just don't know if we're going to get this type of volume again today. We might, but if we don't get that type of volume on Google, it's not a great intraday trading ticker. That's just the way I see this one, right? So not a big fan of it. Amazon, we have. Microsoft is another one that's also reporting this week. So this will definitely be in play this week. Today is just moving with the overall trend that we have with our usual suspect, Amazon and Apple, all looking good there. Microsoft, same thing. AMD, up slightly. They're all taking a hit. Is SPY dropping a bit? Yeah, so SPY dropping a bit here towards the previous day. Close looks like affecting some of these stocks. So again, at the moment, they're just following the overall market. So I'm not going to add Microsoft because it's the least of my favorite out of this list, right? So if you like it, put it on your list, but it's the least of my favorite. Ross is giving us C. For a minute, I thought you wrote COVID, but you're giving us CVKD. What's going on here? CVKD.
Low flow.
Yeah, so low flow with really weird action. Just opened up too, right? I think we only have one IPO'd on Friday. Yeah, IPO on Friday and low flow, man. This is something that I would be gambling if I trade this, right? So it is in play. It's moving. It's got 1.5, but for me, it doesn't hit my criteria to watch this one, especially just opening up. Like we don't even know how this thing trades. Very, very careful, guys. This could be highly manipulated here, and you really. The hard thing about this, you really might not have an edge, right? Especially you have no history on this thing yet. You don't know how to trade. So be careful. In play for sure, but just be careful. All right, we'll do a few more here. QCOM. Let's see here. We'll go over HHR. Yeah, we'll take a look at that one. QCOM. No, QCOM. No. This is no good, guys. QCOM. No volume. It's just, man, this is another one that does not trade very well. So no. Plug we looked at already. HHR. Is there anything going on there?
I don't know why anybody put this up. This hasn't traded since February 28th of last year. It's halted on the exchanges. This is a Russian company. When Russia invaded, a bunch of them were pulled off.
Ooh.
There's literally nothing here.
The only reason
Either
you bring this up, a joke, or you're stuck in it. You can't even
trade it if you can't even trade it if you wanted to.
Yeah, the only thing you will have on your list if you making a joke or if you're stuck in it, which I hope you're not stuck in this, which you could be if you were in this position, but hopefully not.
Right.
But yeah, no. All right, guys, we'll stop here. TSM trades well once in a while, nice daily. I don't see a whole lot of volume on it today. I would prefer to look at AMD and NVIDIA as far as semis go. So that's what I'm going to go with. All right, excellent, guys. Let's go ahead and look at our community events and announcement coming up for this week, and then we'll come back and fine-tune this list.
All right, every Monday night. It is Monday. Look at that. Every Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, Carlos is going to be going over onboarding and technology. Be sure to check that out, especially if you're a newer member. Tuesdays, we have strategy. Tonight, we've got Paris talking about reading the tape, and then next week, it says 5 p.m., but I don't think that's the case. So if somebody could confirm or deny that, that would be great. Otherwise, we'll get that fixed next Tuesday. Megan's going to be talking about optimizing your performance to reach trading goals. Wednesday, we have psychology. Randy Howell this Wednesday, 8 p.m., talking about keeping your emotional control when you're trading real money. And then following week, Dr. Kenneth Reed on the 1st, 8 p.m., talking about the best loser wins. It's an awesome while the title is a little short, keeping your losers small and everything, that's very, very important. Yes, Megan says it's the normal 8 p.m. time. No idea why it says 5 p.m. We'll get that fixed, Megan. Paris lives in Pennsylvania, Matthew. All right, and that's not PST. Everything we have on our schedule is in Eastern time. John at 11 a.m., Thor at 8 p.m. on Thursday for mentoring. Thursday mentoring, tradingterminal.com, where we are building out tools for the active trader for free. Bunch of stuff that people spend a ton of money on each year. We'll show you a little bit more of that in just a moment. Everything from scanners to replay simulator and a whole bunch of other stuff. So be sure to check that out at tradingterminal.com. Don't forget about the San Diego 2-day workshop where we will be live trading and doing a whole bunch of other discussions. So be sure to check that out, barebulltraders.com/workshop. You can also navigate to it from the homepage. And then if you're watching on YouTube, you have not been in the room, you can use the promo code PreMarket34 with that intro membership. It's 7 calendar days. It bills you one time. You'll get a week in the room to try things out, see if it's a good fit. And then if you'd like to become an elite member, you can use the promo code WINNER50 to get half off the elite annual membership.
All right. Thank you very much, guys. With that said, let's go back to our list here and see what we have for today. So right now I have Wayfair on my list. I have AMD. I have Tesla. I have Amazon and Apple, which are all kind of bouncing, not bouncing, kind of heading down towards the previous day close here because the SPY is doing so. So we'll see how that's going to play out. But right now, decent list, not a blockbuster list, right? It's made up of a lot of our usual suspect at AMD, Tesla, Amazon, and Apple. The only one here really that's not a usual suspect is Wayfair, and it's not a great one. Now, if you look at my secondary list, guys, there's a ton of stuff here that looks to be in play today. They're up nicely. Shopify, Spotify. You even have Bitcoin here also making some noise. I prefer Coin. It's one of the better ones right now. They've been really good on the daily. The intraday action though has not been all that exciting. So I hope to move Coin up at least. Maybe that can trade well at the market open. But right now, not doing a whole lot pre-market. We got some volume here, but pretty much flat for the most part. Our gap up list still the same, actually getting smaller. So as things are pulling back a little bit here, maybe going under that 2%, getting a little smaller there. I know someone mentioned plug again a second time after we had already looked at it. So I'm going to take a look at it again. Thank you very much. Needed some water. Have my text my wife say, "Can you bring me some water?" So thank you, sweetie. All right, so we'll look at it again. Plug, you know what? It can pick up here, but right now it's again, it's not great, guys. It's really not. Up 2.1, 221,000. Now I've been looking at plug for a while because it's been on our list quite a bit. The day looks great, but we've been getting a choppy mess here, as you can see right on here. See this? Just choppy. This was Friday. So it hasn't been great as far as intraday action, and that's what I see with many of these other tickers that have such a great daily. But if you look at the details, they've just been so choppy. Somehow they end up putting a nice candle in, but this up after a really choppy mess. Like you see plug on Friday, look at the chop it had the entire morning, then eventually popped up here. So yes, now you saw a great candle from here to here, but the guts, right? The guts of this candle are just brutal. So not a big fan of that. All right. We'll do some levels and then we'll come back. If you guys see something you guys like, definitely throw it out to me. And we can take a look at it a second time here. All right, let's take a look at Wayfair. We'll do levels there. Wayfair this morning, we're up pretty good here. High of the pre-market right now, we're sitting at 53.16. So we're going to slam a level there, 53.16. Towards the bottom, guys, low of the pre-market is all the way below even the high from the last candle, right? The last candle high is right over here. Your pre-market low is down over here at 47.87. So we'll slap a level there. And then towards the bottom, guys, you got plenty highs and lows, previous day close. I would add, in case we do drop back down here, this is a good level here, 44.76. You had a ton of resistance trying to get above that here and failed, right? So you definitely want to mark this down here. at 44,776. Towards the top, if we are going to push higher on Wayfair, and if you look at the daily, has a nice daily actually, not a bad daily, and we're hitting. We got two ranges here, right? So let me go back again. So if you look at the daily, we are at the top of this range. Looks like, right? You had a range right on here for a while, and we're at the top of that now. That has been a good area of support and resistance here, more resistance here. So we're at the top of that now. So it could be tough to get above that, right? We left this range down here just on Friday, so that's good. But to get above this could be a tough thing to do. So we'll see. Wayfair right now, as far as the daily goes, 55.96. 55, actually 56.08. 56.08. Good level on the daily. Tons of action there. A lot of touches there, so that's good. And then above this, we do have 60.85, another great level there on the daily if we're going to continue to push higher here on Wayfair. So we got two levels towards the top. We'll see where this goes. Again, not one of my favorite tickers, but I like the pop today. 12.7. The volume is good. 700,000. Had a great day on Friday and is trying to continue on that momentum. This could be fun today. This could be fun. Look out for the spread. The spread sometimes on this one can be a little bit nasty. Here's AMD. Also AMD up nicely, 2.4 today. It's got great volume. If you've been watching AMD lately, their pre-market volume has been very light. This morning they got almost 900,000 here, so that's pretty good. 72.30, high of the pre-market. Above this, that's a great level too, guys. Look at this. Look where we're having resistance in our pre-market. Not a coincidence. Yes, we had recent resistance there, but if you look at this, it's a great level of support and resistance across the board here. Between November and early December, you had a lot of touches on this 72.30. So no wonder we're kind of bouncing around that. The next one that I see big on the daily is going to be 74.80, and obviously all the way up here at 78.68, you have the top of this range here. So some pretty good levels there. Towards the bottom, guys, highs and lows for the last two trading days. You do not need to add anything else. Let's take a look at Tesla. Has been on our one of our usual suspects, been on our list quite a bit. Towards the bottom, guys, plenty of stuff. I don't think you need to add anything. Highs and lows for the last two trading days. Previous day close right on there. So again, tons of stuff as we're bouncing from what was it? The low 10. We did not hit 100, huh? We couldn't get to it. We were very, very close. 101.79. We bounced from there. That's the most recent lows here. 52-week low, I believe, as well. Yes. Man, look at this. Look at this. Wow. All right. So yeah. So pretty nice drop there, and we're bouncing off of that up to 135 now. High of the pre-market sitting at 136.75. So let's put a level there, and then above this, guys, we do have a couple of areas here. I'm gonna mark this one here, but this is gonna be a minor support resistance level, 141.27, right? It's not a whole lot of going on there. It's just this one little lonely candle. Unless you go back and find more stuff from way back when, you only have this one on here, right? Then here you have a little more touches. You're going to have at least two, is 146.25. And this happens, guys, when you've been on such a downtrend, right? I mean, the stretch of every candle was red besides this one. And it gapped down, and the next day we slammed it down. So I mean, every candle's been red in here. So you're not gonna have this kind of support resistance, where you have a lot of touches. You're not gonna get that. So don't go crazy saying, hey, I only have two candles touching here. I only have one candle. The history, the most recent history, does not give you that, right? So don't be so picky on the candle saying, I want to see this V reversal here and here. Like, this is a great level, right? You got two really good touches, and you got a change in direction, which is very nice, right? When you have those levels, you want to put a lot more weight to it. But when you don't have that with Tesla, like here, where you've been just kind of just on a on highway to hell, you got to take what the market gives you, right? Because everybody's looking at the same thing. Nobody's going to have something different or a secret sauce that only they have. Matter of fact, I always say, if you're the only person looking at a level, then that's not going to work, because you need other people to also look at this level, right? If you're the only one looking at, at a 155 level or whatever it is, nobody else has it, then the likelihood is that that's not going to be important, right? So you need to look at stuff that everybody else is looking at. So there is no secret sauce out there, guys. 159.10. There's a good level here as well if we do get moving. Again, that would be a stretch for 135. but we'll see. 145, 146.25 is good. 141.27 is good as well. So that's Tesla. Let's take a look at Amazon this morning. Going to remove some levels towards the bottom because you have plenty highs and lows for the last 2 trading days. High of the pre-market this morning, which we're kind of retracing from 98.38 down to 97 now. So we're pulling back a little bit here, heading towards that previous day close. And I'm assuming the SPY is causing some of this, maybe. Not really. No, SPY has dropped a little bit, but it's not continuing to drop. So AMD might be doing its own thing here. So we'll keep an eye on that. I'm sorry, on Amazon. Amazon doing its own thing. And then AMD and Tesla, everybody else as well. So interesting. So Amazon high 98.38. Above that, we do have 99.29. Good level there as well. And then just something above that, just in case we get going, we're going to have this one level here, 101.17 for Amazon. All right, last but not least, it's going to be Apple on our list. Again, Apple is one of our usual suspects that can trade very well. I'm going to have 137.22 on here, and I'm also going to have the high of the pre-market 138.50 is a good one. And then towards the left, let's get some levels. Obviously, very clear, clean level here, guys. Tons of touches at 141.08. But I would love to have something in between here and where the previous day closed and the most recent highs are around 138.40. Let's see if we can go to the left and find something here. It's probably going to be this one. It's probably going to be 139, 140.81. It's probably going to be that one. So we will slam a level there, guys. I think we're set on Apple for the most part. Towards the bottom, you're good, as I mentioned, highs and lows. As we were pulling back here into the previous day close right now, changing direction pretty aggressively here as the SPY is pushing somewhat higher. So interesting. How about the Qs? Qs are dropping. No, still the same thing. So interesting action right now as we see some stuff pulling back while others are just holding steady. So yeah, should be fun, guys. All right, what else we have, guys? That's my list so far. Again, not a blockbuster list. A lot of it made up of my usual suspects. And usually when you have a list made up of your usual suspects, you need the market to start moving very aggressive one way or the other. So if the SPY is doing nothing, if it's chopping around, most likely these are not going to be in play, guys. Maybe Tesla might do its own thing because it always does. But for the most part, these other things might just be very, very mellow today. Let's take a look at the electrical trade, PayPal, possible short for today on news. What's the news on it? What's the news on PayPal? I see here we are down 2% on it. It's got to have a good catalyst. That's the only time I really trade PayPal because they get light volume. If you look at it here, 14 million for the most part. It's not great. So unless they have a catalyst,
They have some potential regulatory issues in Germany, I believe.
Okay.
I don't know how much that'll do for them, but
Yeah, if it was here, it would be
it would be,
major.
yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm not sure how much weight that's gonna hold, how much business they do over there. So yeah, it's a catalyst to be aware of. I just don't know how well that's gonna trade today. So let's see here. What do we have going on? Carlos, do you prefer to watch Coin even if Mara has more volume? Yes, I do prefer to watch Coin even if Mara has more volume. And the reason for that is because Mara, first of all, is a lower price under $10, $15. It's not great for me. I gotta say though, the daily looks good, guys. The daily here, you look at this daily, look at the volume increase they had in the last couple of days, the movement they have here. This looks really, really good, and actually looks to be a cleaner daily than Coin. Looking at it very quickly, right? So it looks a little bit more cleaner, maybe because it's lower price. I'm not sure, but I like Coin better. It's a higher price stock at $50, right? It can move better than Mara for me personally, right? So I prefer to watch Coin. Not saying that Mara is not going to be in play today. Again, we've been seeing an increase in volume here as Bitcoin is pushing higher. So a lot more attention is flowing into this. Maybe more money is flowing into Bitcoin again. After they hit, they took, from everything, just overall dropping down. And then you get hit with the FTX things, which, scare the heck out of a lot of people, I'm sure. So it's just a whole lot going on. Maybe they're building some trust back again here. Who knows? But I would prefer to watch Coin just because the higher price, and I think it trades a little bit better when they are in play, right? So let's see. I might move Coin up. I think Coin will be a good one as people start getting maybe more excited about Bitcoin here, looks like. So PayPal, the big banks, yeah, yeah. We'll have to see. I mean, I don't know how big that news is going to be. The electric trader. We'll have to see how it plays out. Right now, they're not doing a whole lot. So we'll see at the market open if that starts hitting the scanners, it could be pretty big. Apparently, major banks are looking into creating digital wallet to rival PayPal and Apple Pay. I get that. I just don't know how big that's gonna be. You know how how convenient Apple makes their products for their devices, right? It is just so simple and easy. So I don't see, I use Apple Pay all the time, right? Because it's just so easy. I don't see people switching to have several different banks now, right? So for example, if you have Bank of America, if you have Chase, which me and my wife, we have both, right? Accounts on both. Are we gonna be using two different apps? I just don't see that happening when I could use everything through Apple Pay. So we'll see. Again, I could be wrong. I'm just one person, but I don't see myself having different apps when I could just use Apple Pay and attach whatever credit card I want to it, whatever bank account or card I want to it. I don't see that being a big threat to Apple and Apple Pay and PayPal. I just don't see it. And then PayPal, we use it for websites, right? For when you're buying something from a place where it's not Macy's or somewhere reliable. PayPal is a great way to kind of protect yourself a little bit, right? So um, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right. What else, guys? What about CRM up 4% with volume? Yeah, we went over CRM this morning, guys. It's in play, definitely in play. And I can add it to my list here of in play tickers that I do not like. In fact, that's what my secondary list is going to be today. Just today, our secondary list is our in play tickers that I really do not like, except Nvidia. And I like Nvidia. Nvidia's here because I already have AMD. I think it's the better one this morning with more volume and with actual news, right? And actual catalyst. So, but CRM is in play. PLRX is in play, guys. Spotify, Shopify, Mara is in play. But I look at these tickers and when you look at a ticker and you see yourself losing money, I look at these tickers and I see myself losing money just because the way they trade. So and my past history, it just has not been great on these tickers. I'm not gonna say I traded all of them, but I have traded Spotify. I have traded Shopify. Mara's done good for us. Mara did very good for us in the past, but they're not the same ticker anymore. I don't have a lot of history on coins, so I can't go off that. But these other ones, man, and CRM, they just don't make us money. Don't make me money. They really don't. Their price action is very, very weird. It's not the Amazon, the AMD, the Tesla type price action. So that's a problem. That's a problem. So and even when they are in play, they still have this weird price action. It's very hard to describe it unless I show you a recording on how they trade, or you look at it today, put it on your list and look at it compared to other stuff like an AMD, like a Tesla, like an Apple. Just compare the price action. And it's very, very different, right? Very, very different. And the spread could be choppy at times, and it's just not ideal for the way I trade, right? Um, Now your strategy could fit very well into these tickers. I have one of my buddies today. I think it's a few of my buddies are watching very different tickers, and these are some of the tickers they're putting on their list because they trade very different than I do. So it depends a lot on your trading style, right? Keep that in mind also. All right, here we have Thor and Susan with their list already. If you haven't done so already, guys, let's start this week off on the right foot. Let's hit that thumbs up over on YouTube. We appreciate it very much. We love to be over 200. That is our that is our threshold, 200. If we can get above that, we're in good shape here. If not, we have to reconsider what we do here in our pre-market show. But for the most part, hit that thumbs up. We appreciate it very, very much. So yeah, so that's what I have, guys. Anything else that's on your list? Delta Airlines. Let's look at Delta and American because they were very active the last couple of days. As you can see here on the daily, Delta Airlines pushing up pretty nicely here. Had a couple of days where they increased volume and actually intraday traded very, very well. Same thing with American Airlines. Right now, they both have non-existent volume right now for what they can do, right? So the volume is very, very light. They might just, fall back into their sideways action here. And they had earnings already, right? Did they report earnings already, airlines? I believe they did. Yeah, so that caused some movement last week as well. Like Delta reported on the 13th, so that's done. I think they all reported. American Airlines. Oh no, American Airlines is gonna be in a couple of days here. I have January 26th. Is that correct? Somebody confirm that. I thought they reported, but I guess it was only Delta. Actually, no, it was only Delta. I remember that because Norm had mentioned it. The other ones had not reported yet. So we'll see. I think American Airlines on the 26th will be fun. That's a pre-market. That's a morning report they're going to do. So we'll see how that's going to play out there. We'll see. But right now, Venom, to answer your question, very light volume on Delta. So I don't see this in play today. I think they had some really good moves. They're very extended on the daily too. So to continue to break out of this, man, it's gonna be tough. This is a very big move for the airlines that they had, starting January into the month here, end of the month. They've been rocking, man. This is a very, very big move, especially how beat up they've been. So not sure what's the next step for them here, but pre-market action, they're not showing a whole lot. Doesn't mean they won't, but they were not showing a whole lot throughout this entire movie, right? It's just been kind of grinding slowly. No heavy pre-market action, light volume, and still just grinding higher because, just all the positive news around airlines, people getting back into travel and all that good stuff. So that's been helping all the airlines, not just Delta. So we'll have to see if the market open brings anything exciting over than what we have right here. All right, 197 likes. Thank you so much, guys, over on YouTube. Let's go ahead and bring over our moderators list. Let's see what we got going on here. What our team is watching, and then we will call it a day on this Monday as we get our week started. Earnings week as well. So a couple of earnings that I'm looking forward to, and next week, guys, is going to be really big. A quick reminder, guys, on tonight, 8 a.m., 8 p.m. Eastern time, I have my onboarding class with Mike. So definitely join us for that. We're going to be talking a little bit about the overall, let me bring this over, overall environment of our Bareboot traders. So if you're not part of a community, which I don't know how you trade and are not part of a community, it's like it's something you need to really think about. Come join us, come see what we're all about, and definitely get an inside look of what the community is has to offer for you. All right, let's start with Thor. He has PayPal, AMD, Tesla, Wayfair, and Futu. Susan has Tesla, Netflix, AMD. Megan, Amazon, and Nvidia. And Jared is looking at Tesla, AMD/Nvidia, and then secondary list Coin and Amazon today on his list. So that's what we have so far. We'll wait for Brian, see if Brian's around the corner with his list, and then we will call it a day. The electrical trader, yes, trading terminal, guys. It is pretty amazing, and it's not just because it's our tool from Bareboot Traders, but these guys, the developers and Artie, are just continuing to just push this forward, man. So many great stuff. I know you guys saw the recap already from Andrew, where he kind of showcased some of the features we have on there. Recap last week. But yeah, guys, trading terminal, it's a big deal. It's a big deal, and it's completely free. And we're constantly just adding stuff on here.
Did
The
you
new
look at Insider?
No, I was gonna go there next. Let's see what we got
Yeah,
going on.
this is awesome stuff, guys.
Yeah, yeah. So Norm, you want to kind of walk through this a little bit?
Yeah, so essentially they're using AI and taking all of the actions, filings from funds and insider actions, also from social media and stuff. So this is Wall Street Bets. It's a word cloud. The bigger the ticker is, the more it's spoken about in Wall Street Bets. So you're looking at retail here. Green indicates a positive, obviously, red, negative sentiment. So you can see that visually on the left. On the right, you've got some other information, same kind of deal. You get an idea of popularity and how sentiment is. And then if you scroll down, you've got politicians and lobbying. As we know, the only legal insider trading is politicians doing it. So those are filings from
Facts.
politicians. Yeah, exactly. And then you've got fund managers and such down here, institutional flow, and show you sectors things are moving into, tickers they're moving into, everything. So yeah, awesome
Yeah,
stuff,
pretty
guys.
pretty exciting, man. Pretty exciting. So
Help
definitely
out
check
with some
this
trade
out.
ideas.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely definitely very exciting. And again, just go through this. We're not going to go through every single thing on here. There's so much, but definitely go through this, guys. A lot on there, including our free simulator. And for now, since we're going into earnings season, you got your earnings calendar as well. You can take a look at that. So a whole lot of stuff happening there, guys. Take advantage of it. Again, all completely free from BBT. So enjoy. All right, guys. With that said, we're all set up here. Here's my chat. All right. Do we have Brian? Oh, yes, we do have Brian. So let me bring this over one more time. We've got a couple more. So we have Brian's list. He's looking at Tesla, Wayfair, CRM, and PLRX. And then Peter's looking at AMD, NVIDIA, and Amazon. Secondary list, PLRX and Tesla, and no IPOs and no SPACs for today. So guys, thank you very much over on YouTube. 230 likes. Thank you so much for that support, guys. Appreciate it very, very much. You guys take care. And again, we appreciate you guys joining us every morning. We'll see you again tomorrow at 8 a.m. Engineering the Markets. Then Norm and I at 8:30 a.m. Take care, guys. Stay safe.
Take care, guys. Trade safe. Sorry about the camera. Should have it fixed tomorrow.